Hi, this is Celeste. I'm an astrologer, coach, and intuitive. And today I'm going to talk to you about the Pisces new moon. Great. So the Pisces new moon will be on March 13th at 23 degrees Pisces. And I think this quote is so beautiful and it's said by one of the most famous Pisces, Albert Einstein, who really, had this genius and this creativity and melded them together so beautifully. So at least once a day allows yourself the freedom to think and dream for yourself. Yes, I love that. It really speaks to, there's a still Jupiter and Saturn are in Aquarius, and that's all about the higher mind. And the Saturn Uranus square is about freedom from boundaries, is the theme of the year. And then, yeah, Pisces is all about the dream. So we're going to talk about the sign of Pisces and then the lunar phases, the longer family story, and the chart and what this new moon means for you. Yeah, so Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. It has like it's got a amalgamation of everything that came before it. It's just such the higher consciousness I think of when I think of Pisces. It's a watery sign, it's a water element. Two fish swimming in opposite directions is the glyph that perfectly encapsulates this mutable, changeable, adaptable, shifting energy. Yes, it's the yin polarity. So it's a feminine, more inward energy. And in the traditional astrology, Jupiter, the sign of expansion, freedom, travel, that sort of thing. And it's not a sign. Jupiter is a planet, excuse me. Jupiter rules Pisces, and modern times we talk about Neptune ruling Pisces, and Neptune is all the fog, the mysticism, illusions and delusions. It dissolves boundaries. So um, these signs are co-rulers. They're not signs, they are planets, excuse me. All this Pisces watery energy is dissolving my brain cells. So, excuse me, Jupiter and Neptune are planets, not signs. And uh, and Pisces rules the 12th house, and the 12th house is such a mystical, um, hard to know, hard to understand house. It's the last of the 12th houses. It's a house of secrets, mysticism, isolation, confinement, completion, endings. Yes. So some of the key words for Pisces are compassionate, creative, sensitive, kind, gentle, spiritual on the high road. On the low road, it can be escapist and confused and scattered. Yes. Yeah. So think about, when people have a lot of Pisces or water energy, sometimes there is like the boundaries between themselves and other people's energy, emotions, and whatnot can be blurred, and then there can just be this need to get away from all that and escape. So some of the shadow archetypes are the lost soul, the addict, the space cadet, who just is just otherworldly, almost not here, wanting to escape this world. They're not able to connect into this world. On the high side, we have the dreamer, the artist, the poet, the dancer. It's such a beautiful, beautiful energy of creativity. And there's also this mystical and healing element, and the empath, someone who can just be so compassionate and just feel other people's feelings and hold space for them, is what I think about as the archetypes of Pisces. So, as a reminder, the purpose of working with the moon cycles is to make the unconscious conscious. So, the sun is our outer identity, it is our outward expression, our ego, our wants, our and the moon, which is, harder to know. We really have to lean in, a lot of us, to our that emotional body, the moon sign, because it's hidden, it's the dark, it's our unconscious, it's the subconscious, and it's all about emotions and feelings and instincts and behaviors. And the new moon is a wonderful opportunity to have them standing right next to each other. The sun and the moon stand together in the same sign at the same exact degree, minutes and seconds, and whisper secrets to each other is one of my favorite things that was described to me as what happens at the new moon. They're embracing and really giving you an opportunity to sync up what you desire at your innermost and connect it with your outer self, and create intentions of what you want to bring forward into the world over the next 29 and a half days of the cycle, where the moon starts to gain her light, and then we culminate at the full moon, and she starts to lose her light, and then we start to rest, and the cycle starts anew. So at the new moon, it's a time of beginnings. We plant seeds in the dark. So it's really great to have some kind of ritual about the new moon within the first couple days. I mean, there are all kinds of different prescriptions about when you should do your new moon ritual. Um, should you do new moon wishes? They're always a good thing to do. It certainly can't hurt. Um, some people, and I like to actually have a little bit of light. So sometimes I'll wait. It depends on what sign it's in, and the closing aspect of the moon. So, so yes, so there's all kinds of different ways to do it, but you definitely want to do it within the first week before we go into the first quarter phase. But yes, so make wishes, have a ritual, take things slow at the new moon. Each of these 8 phases of the moon lasts about 3.5 days. So you have a couple of days to go inward with this. Wonderful time to initiate new projects or start a new relationship, quit habits, or start new routines, and launch business stuff. Great. So we can see as we go around, and the moon starts to take on more light as she distances herself from the sun, and our energy starts to grow. And at the first quarter, we have we're moving our goals and intentions forward, and then like there's a crisis point where we need to make decisions. We can see half of the moon in the sky, and there's this sharp sharp edge to her from our perspective. And yes, so here are the dates here of these different phases. They happen about once a week. You'll be able to download these slides, but the new moon's in Pisces, and then we have a first quarter in Cancer, full moon in Libra, and then the closing quarter in Capricorn. So Pisces is a mutable sign, and then we move into cardinal signs for the rest of the cycle, and that's because we're at the end of the 30 degrees of Pisces. We're in the third decan at 23 Pisces at this start of this cycle. Wonderful. And then there's also a longer story with these moon phases. So the 29 and a half day cycle that I was just talking about is a wonderful time to do short-term short-term intentions and goals that can be completed within a month. And then there's this longer cycle that the moon comes to the same degree at each of those phases. So on March 13th, it'll be at 23 Pisces in the new moon phase. Then 9 months later, it's like a gestational cycle. It's 9 months later, the moon will come to almost the exact same degree, but at a first quarter phase. So things are planted during the new moon, and 9 months later, things we've started can start to come out into the world, and we'll need to make some adjustments. And then 9 months after that, there's a full moon. And then finally, 9 months after that, there's a last quarter moon um, at 19 Pisces in June of 2023. So this gives us a longer cycle to bring things and birth things out into the world. It's perfect for like writing a book or launching some new, project or program that takes, 27 months in order to create it, things like that. So now let's talk about this chart of this Pisces new moon. So if you recall, last new moon in Aquarius, we had like a 6-planet pileup in Aquarius, an air sign. Well, now we've moved into Pisces, a water sign. So the energy has dramatically shifted, gone from like this outward focus into this inward focus. There are 4 planets in Pisces. It's a very mutable energy. There's 5 planets in mutable signs because there's also Mars and Gemini, which is a mutable sign. So there's a lot of adaptability, change. We have to be careful not to get too scattered, like I was talking about Jupiter and Neptune being signs instead of planets. But yeah, yeah, it's very mutable, adaptable. We have to remember to ground ourselves with this, and we also have to remember to, have some boundaries. I mean, the sun, the moon, Neptune, and Venus are all in the sign of Pisces, and Venus loves to magnetize things to us. It wants beauty and harmony and togetherness and sociability, and Neptune wants no boundaries, so it just wants to merge. So all this energy it's important to like try to maintain some boundaries. All the planets are direct, so there is forward motion. Nothing is retrograde. So enjoy this. This is unusual and beautiful to have everything going direct. So we're moving forward. There's no fire in the sky. So it's important to still be able to try to, have some initiative to keep things going forward. None of the planets are in cardinal signs at this time. Everything is mutable and fixed. So it may be, it may be a little difficult to start things, but you can keep things moving on and perfect what you already started. Yeah, so there are a lot of beautiful aspects. On the surface, this is a soft, loving, compassionate new moon. There's just all this beautiful, watery energy. I mean, I talked about, you need to protect your boundaries. Also, if for people who have any kind of escapist tendencies or addictions, it's a really good time to be aware that, issues could come up around this, and just you know be conscious of maybe the pull or the draw to sink into bad habits is more about the energy than your real desires. So as I said, Venus conjunct Neptune. Neptune is a higher octave of Venus. There's this a beautiful energy to fall in love, but got to be careful about those rose-colored glasses. But sometimes it's good to see people as you wish they were, rather than how they really are. Especially if you've been with them for a long, long time, it can bring bring some new eyes to your loving relationships, and some compassion for each other. And I think it's a lot of beautiful energy to merge with your partner. Hmm. Yes, and then there are all these are very subtle energies. They're called quintiles. They are minor aspects, but there's so many of them that I think it really speaks to the new moon being quintile Mars and Mercury by quintile Uranus in the south node. I see this as a time for healing old wounds. Um, Uranus can bring sudden change, and the south node is all about those. It can be about ancestral wounds or long held wounds or habits. Good time as to break bad habits around Neptunian, Piscean things. Um, yeah, and Pluto, the ability to transformative healing. I I like this Pluto quintile Chiron, the wounded healer. Now, Chiron's also conjunct Ceres, so this is really interesting. Ceres is an asteroid. It speaks about mothering. It speaks about the food supply. It's Yes, it's our relationship with food. I like how Chiron's conjunct Ceres, Chiron the wounded healer. I think I love this energy for getting restaurant workers and business owners back to work as we start to loosen up restrictions. Although some are loosening them up maybe a little too fast. The sun conjunct Neptune is a health aspect. So hopefully all these spring breakers are not going to have us having another, big surge in cases. I'm hoping not. Maybe there'll be some mini surges. We shall see. But, mm, anyway, let's just leave that there and say that, oh, if you have any issues around food addiction or food problems, this is a really good energy to, I think, make intentions about how you're going to break those harmful cycles for yourself. Yes. So, yeah, healing. I love it. Now, on the other side, there are a few things that give me pause. So, this new moon squares the December 14th solar eclipse that was at 23 Sagittarius. So, Sagittarius is another mutable sign. And yeah, the exact square. So when we have squares, there's tension. So we're kind of at the midpoint between the last eclipse, solar eclipse, and the next one, which will be on June 10th in Gemini. So eclipses have about a 6 months energy cycle, and by the 3 months in, where we're at, you can see what the story was in your life, especially if you have planets around 23 degrees. Something may have come in or gone out of your life around this solar eclipse that we just had. And there's an activation, a tension. So something may come up if it hasn't already. Something could be sucked out of your life. Yeah, so make it something you don't want in your life. Yes. And the new moon is also conjunct this is the Uranus Saturn midpoint, which can speak to technical challenges. It can there's a bit of stress and tension around that. And since this year, Saturn square Uranus is the huge theme of the year, I think it's very interesting that the new moon is at that same degree of that midpoint. Midpoints are very powerful. And yeah, I see there's a big winter storm coming in on Saturday. It's going to affect people more, I think, in the upper Midwest. And it's read something about power outages, heavy snow. Saturn being in Aquarius speaks to really cold winters. I'm not a weather astrologer, but some are. And yeah, it's a bit concerning having that Saturn Uranus midpoint right next to the new moon. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. And I also find interesting that Vesta is the handle. So Vesta is the asteroid of the home and the hearth. It's about Vestal virgins, about women and their sexual power or lack thereof. Um, it's in the sign of Virgo, which some people have talked about, you know, Vesta potentially taking over rulership of Virgo. Anyway, it's a handle, so it's opposite everything. It's almost like it could be used almost like a lever. So yeah, I know it's in. Hopefully, there won't be flooding or, issues around home and things like that. It's conjunct the fixed star Zosma, so I think this is a fixed star that speaks to. Um, Oh yeah, Saturn, Neptune, disruption. Disruption is another key word for that midpoint, which makes me think, more power outages. Hopefully nothing like what we had in Texas at the actual square. Yeah. Yeah, Zosma's around, helping. It can be around victimization, um, suffering, helping others. So yeah, I think it's interesting that Vesta is right next to that. Um, yeah, we'll see what comes of this new moon. I think mostly it's nice energy, but there is some tension with the, squaring that eclipse and being on the midpoint of the Saturn and Neptune. Saturn and Uranus, not Neptune. Those are two planets. Anyway, so when we look at the Sabian symbols, Sabian symbols are this clairvoyant sat under a tree with an astrologer, Mark Edmund Jones, I believe, and went through every degree of the zodiac, and she talked about the images that came to her. So this is a Sabian symbol for Pisces 24. So it's like for anything between 23 and right before you read the one above you round up with Sabian symbols. So the tiny island seems lost in the broad ocean, but its happy inhabitants have created a world all their own. I think this speaks so much to what we have been through in this last year. I think this is a really great time to have compassion for yourself and your loved ones. And think about who got you through this pandemic. Think about how you related to those people. Maybe give some, I'm sure, you know, there was a lot of friction and what have you with some people. Some people's relationships have ended. But think about who helped you through this, whether they live in your actual home or part of your pod, or you met them online through some kind of group that you got into in order to have some companionship. Are they your family who you live with, who you're tired of seeing every day, day in and day out during this, but you love them dearly? So yeah, think about that. It's a really good new moon to think about the good times that you had through this. Some people it's just been one tragedy after another, and we should all have compassion for them. But some people have gotten a chance to slow down and learn a lot about yourself through this struggle and what have you. So yeah, I think this is a beautiful, and I think, yeah, I love this image because, as I said, Vesta is across from everything, kind of like and cross from the new moon, like some kind of handle. And yeah, Vesta the home. Yeah, so think about, and home is where the heart is. I love that. Anyway, so let's talk about the Pisces new moon through the signs. So I like to read my sun and my rising sign when I look at the new moon. You can also do your moon sign if you so choose. But Pisces, this is your month. So if your sun or rising sign is in Pisces, this is a great time to set intentions about yourself, your vitality, your soul, what you want to um, how you want to step forward yourself in this world. Yes. Anything new? What do you want to create? I love this new moon for creating. Yeah. What do you want to heal? Where do you need compassion? If you're an Aquarius, it's a good time to think about your values and your personal resources and, really think about how can you bring more loving kindness to yourself and others? Do you want to be more creative with how you approach making money or what have you, your personal resources? If you're a Capricorn, think about it's a good time to think about, a relationship with your siblings. Reach out and, maybe do a Zoom together if you can't be together in person. And yeah, it's also a good time to creatively connect with others and network. If you've been doing Capricorn, sometimes can be a little workaholic-y, and making sure you get involved in your local community is a good thing to do with um, this new moon. Sagittarius, it's all about the home and the roots and the private self. Yeah, yeah. Sagittarius likes to expand and whatnot. So yeah, coming down and being really centered, getting embodied with yourself and yeah, meeting yourself again, going internal, maybe meditating would be a great thing to do for a Sagittarius. For Virgos, no, that's Scorpio. Excuse me. I'm like, that doesn't look like Virgo. Scorpio, you could have a fresh start. Maybe you should think about how you're going to bring romance into your current relationship, or if you're single and ready to mingle, this is your month to set intentions about how you are going to move forward in this world. Yeah. If you want to have a baby, this is a good month to think about that and do what's necessary to have that, to get pregnant. Or yeah, think about, being more loving and compassionate with your children, and definitely doing something to be more creative yourself. If you're a Libra, that's the house of daily life. It's all about the mundane. If you have employees, how about doing something nice and compassionate for your employees? Having empathy for for them would be lovely. Yeah, think about your health with that Chiron conjunct series. If there's, anything you need to Libra, you know, can like some sweet stuff. So maybe you need to eliminate some sweetness from your life. Uh, Sugar meaning sweetness. Um, yeah, some clean up your diet is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and Virgo, which opposes the sign of Pisces. Yeah, so maybe do something, creative to beautify your house or your surroundings. Be more compassionate to your partner and loving. Yeah, it's a good time for that. Forgive your open enemies. The seventh house is also about open enemies. Yes. And a Leo, the eighth house. So Leo, it's a time to go into the basement and really look at your inner world, your most private self. And yeah, it's a house of shared resources and intimacy. And I think it's a really good time to really be intimate with yourself. Think about healing, compassion for yourself, and think about, you know, yeah, as you shine, letting others also have a little place on the stage. And Cancers, oh, it's a time to expand. Yes, in the ninth house, do you need to learn a new skill or pick up some creative skill that you want to, or hobby, or how are you going to expand your mind or your conscious? So yeah, having a sound bath or like some kind of spiritual activity is nice with the ninth house. Yes. And Gemini, something about work. If you're in a rut, maybe think about creatively trying to take a creative approach to some of your projects is a good thing to do. And Taurus, connecting with friends and social groups, and you're connecting yourself, try to think outside the box creatively, get out of that fixed energy Tauruses and you have so much, Uranus is in the sign, so you have all this activation to change things. So yeah, think about doing something humanitarian to help others, whether you want to donate to a group's help with time or what have you. And Aries, yes, this is all, it's all about maybe taking some time, spending time with yourself and your thoughts and slowing down and yeah, thinking about your mental health and what you need to do if there is anything to nurture it. I mean, it's been a really rough year, especially for the fire signs, having to be, less active or out there has been very difficult, especially for fire, I would think. So yeah, nurture yourself and take good care of your mental health. Do you need more sleep? Do you need to distress? That sort of thing. Yeah, so every new moon, it's a great time to set intentions. I recommend setting at least 3 intentions. Have some short term, have that you can complete in about a month. Also have some range goals where you can work on over that longer 27-month cycle, or work through a few months with activating a different energy of the archetype of the sign with. So some things I think about with Pisces is, bringing creativity into your life. How are you going to do more creative things? And delving into your inner world and thinking about your boundaries with others and making sure they're healthy, and trying to, you know, move away from codependency or codependent tendencies is a good thing to think about, setting intentions around that. And nurturing yourself with love, compassion, and kindness, as well as the others around you, especially people you don't like. Take some time to do something nice or at least think nice thoughts about someone that you don't like would be a nice thing to do. If you, or if you're even bigger person, do something to extend yourself, to try to understand their point of view is a beautiful thing to do with this Pisces energy. Start a dream journal is something that you could do, or some kind of healing practice where you're healing your emotional body, and you're bring some spirituality to yourself is a wonderful intention to start during this new moon cycle. And I always love journaling every new moon. I think it's a beautiful way to connect into your subconscious, and when they're sitting whispering together, your conscious and subconscious, or it's a beautiful time to have things come out that you may not have been aware of if you didn't take this time to sit in ritual. Yeah, so here are some resources. Dietrich Pessin is a woman who discovered, the astrologer who discovered the moon cycles, where the moon comes to about the same place every 9 months. And this is a wonderful book, but it's dense. So Frank Clifford wrote a shorter article with her about it. That's very good. And these are just a couple of books. I mean, Moonology and New Moon Astrology talk about what to do at the new moon. Moonology also talks about the full moon, and I love Stephen Forrest's book about it just gets into so much depth about the moon. And I use Solar Fire software to create the charts. So this is where you can find me. So my website is astrologybyceleste.com. I suggest subscribing to my email as well as this YouTube channel. And I send new moon and full moon messages out every month. And I also have send extra goodies to my subscribers, and you'll always be in the know about what's going on at Astrology by Celeste. You can download my free Sync with the Moon guide there. It talks about the moon through the different, working with the moon on a daily basis. You can book a reading, event, or or sign up for the wait list for my Moon Mastery program, which will be launching in May. It is getting close. Yes, and I also have an events page. I'm going to be doing multiple events in April, and you can find out all about them there. And every Sunday, I go live on Instagram, and I really suggest, if you like Instagram, to follow me there, because I do a lot of stories about the news events and put them in my stories, as well as I do my Instagram lives, and I have my wall and whatnot. And I'm also on Facebook, and you can follow me there too. So anyway, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this talk about the Pisces new moon. Yeah, feel free to drop your thoughts or any questions in the comments. And yeah, have a beautiful new moon on Saturday, and go within, and yeah, and listen to what your inner voice is telling you. Okay, that's it. I'm signing off. Bye.